Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. 5 topics, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, a guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you?
Well, I'm okay. I'm losing my voice, everybody. So if it goes, I'll just sit here and smile. But I think I'm all right. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm here. I'm so happy that we have a show tonight. I need this community, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
do.
What are you drinking?
I'm just drinking water, and I've been sort of sucking it down because the ice cubes feel really good. What are you having? You having
Oh,
your
I thought you were
Manhattan?
having a Manhattan. I thought you were, or did you
Mm,
have one? No.
I had that for dinner, for Valentine's
Oh,
Day dinner.
okay. Oh, right. It's
Um,
Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's
Happy
Day,
Valentine's Day,
everybody.
everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone who celebrates, does anybody, I mean, really, once you're like 9 and, you stop having to give the Valentines in class, is there,
It does feel like a kid. I said that tonight. It's like it feels like a kid's, but I just was like, okay, we're having steak. I'm gonna go get some steaks.
that's nice.
There's
That's
some
nice.
flowers behind me. People showed up with flowers.
That's always nice.
That's always nice.
Yeah.
There's more flowers, but that's what fit there. How was your week?
My week was good. I mean,
Yeah.
we have the caveat, like, remember, like there was a part on
Mm.
that show Silicon Valley, right? Where, they're talking about Richard and they're like kind of shit talking him, but they like him. So they start off where they say, well, Richard is great, but and then they launch into the thing. And finally they're tired of saying it. So they say Rigby and then say the thing. So we're going to do that now. Rigby. Yeah, everything's pretty good. Rigby meaning understanding that the
Richardson's
world
great,
is
but
on fire and
yeah,
democracy's
yeah,
dying and all the horrible things. But,
yeah.
apart from that, not so bad,
Not too bad.
Mrs. Lincoln enjoyed the play, LB. That's what the week was like.
Yeah, it was a good
I think,
play.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was pretty good one.
yeah.
This is before we get into the
It was a
topics.
beautiful day, a December day in Dallas.
One thing that was funny that's not one of the topics that I want to celebrate is, like there was those games that you'd have where you just have a random word of poetry and you put it on the refrigerator, and
Mhm,
sometimes there were curse words in there.
mhm.
So I tweeted something out. It's Blue Sky, but tweeted, right? And this was a thing that was real that everyone will know. But then I stepped back and I said, like, if you had told me in college what this was, I would think it was just random words from a poetry thing. And the words are Pope, bitch, slaps, couch, fucker. And that's something that happened this week.
Yeah,
Bam! The Pope was like, JD Vance was like, let me tell you about Christianity and Catholicism. And the Pope
yeah,
was like, sit your ass down, Junior.
yeah.
That's good. But not on the couch, in the pew.
Oh, God.
That's it. That's where we're at.
That's where we're
These
at.
are things where I think if we went back in time, I just, Bloom County used to do this thing where they would predict stuff, and it's just way even crazier than that.
It's so crazy. Yeah,
Mhm.
I tried to post something about I was watching, like, I did tune in a little bit. I saw not the Elon Musk insane presser. I
Which
did
we'll talk about.
catch
Yeah.
the clips later about the kid, what the kid was saying, and I think it's pretty. I don't think that's fake or any. I think that
Yeah.
kid was like, "You're not the president. Get out of here." Um, but I saw the one where he was talking about Canada, and he called him Governor Trudeau because it's the 51st state, and has a sycophant in there guffawing, at his stupid jokes.
Mhm.
They're not even jokes; it's just meanness and stupid. But he was really he's so upset by Trudeau. Like, just Trudeau's really in a very personal way. It's just a
Mm.
personal thing. So I posted, I'm like, I'm starting to think that Melania shagged this guy. Like, not that he would, I think he cares what it's sort of like, you know, some other world leader with, like, in his property. It just feels like that.
I
It's like,
think you got the lady wrong. I think you got the right
I
idea.
know
You picked
people
the
saying that.
wrong
I got
Trump
a
intimate.
lot of pushback. I'm like, he would never stoop. I'm like, you're totally, like, it's just going whoosh over everybody's head.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's something deeply personal about this Canada thing. And it could just be, he always makes mistakes and says dumb things and then triples down because he doesn't want to admit he's dumb, but or got something wrong. Could be something like that. Anyway, I want to save my voice for our talk.
All right, we should get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to set my timer.
Okay.
What's our first topic, Greg Olear?
Adam's crime family values.
So, yeah. Like what happened? You want to tell us what happened?
Yeah, I think so. What happened is, New York City has this mayor, Eric Adams, who is a scoundrel. And we all know he is, and he got indicted. And if you go and read the indictment, sometimes you read these indictments, like, I don't know, maybe this is an indictment like, oh, fuck yeah, he's guilty. I mean, there's no question that he did things, like all of the stuff.
He's an agent of a foreign power.
Yes, Turkey specifically. Erdogan, who, had Trump on speed dial for the entire first term. People forget that. Anyway, so maybe Erdogan's trying to get his guy off.
His guy, launch his guy, protect his guy.
And so and they're into this prosecution like that. I think that other people that are wrapped up in it have already like plea bargained and stuff. Like it's that level of thing where now those people are fucked for trying to do the right thing, and Trump's basically Pam Bondi, just paragon of truth and justice. Pam 25 grand Bondi is like, we're just not going to bother with this one, and but Eric Adams, you're going to need to come to Jesus about this immigration stuff in New York. And he's like, yeah, whatever, man, I'll do whatever you want. So what's happened now is that the DOJ is letting a case go that absolutely should proceed for purely political reasons. So, and I want to get your thoughts on this, but my thoughts are most ominously is that if they can make a case go away, that's a good case for pure political reasons. They can also just invent a case for purely political
reasons. That's correct.
Which is what's coming. So, but you had another take on this, or what's your thoughts on all this stuff and what it might augur?
Well, I don't know so much about having another take. I mean, it's just, it's just this is it. Like this is the stuff that we knew was going to happen when you have a corrupt Justice Department. So the whole sort of weaponizing the Justice Department that they were saying, and all they accuse the other, and then they're doing it, and the hypocrisy and what's been just everything that comes pouring out of their mouths or they put on paper. And by they, I mean Donald, his cabinet, his appointees, all of it. And his architects of Project 2025 and other, his king, Elon, all this, for that gaggle, every single thing they say, they mean. And they have the power to do it. If you have the power to just stop a case, right? That's, especially Southern District of New York is like, this is not a plaything office. Not that any of them are, but this is like these guys, this is the toughest office there is, as toughest district. So to put that sort of, just write the letter and have it be. And of course there was communications. It does look like there was a war behind the scenes. The person that is there that was had a Southern District, the chief prosecutor, who resigned because this was just a rancid corruption.
Daniel Sassoon, yeah.
Just make you. It's a disease. This corruption, this level of corruption, and it will affect everything. And it's horrible. It's a Federalist Society, Trump supporting. Like this is not. Again, it's not everything is about. If everybody's sort of missing the ball, if they're thinking it's all about getting the libs, that's an emotional motivator to open the doors to unleash what the real shit is. It's just sort of like an activator, like you put an activator in your hair dye to make it the color, but it's still it activates the color, but the color is the color. It's going to be right. This is already predetermined before they put it in the box and slap a label on it. So it's the owning the lib stuff and retribution and all of that. That's just an activator to allow things to be the things that they want and that they say they're going to do and they write down they're going to do to be possible. So if everybody kind of just keeps remembering that what they want to do is they want no checks and balances on whatever their piracy is.
Mm-hmm.
This is a mafia state now. It's a mafia state. So I spent 8-10 years outlining, how these people are, from Donald Trump to Erdogan to Putin, especially Xi, always in the weirdness out there, are, the Orban, who was a bagman for Mogilevich. It's like these people came out of the underworld. They profit from that. So the last thing they want is any kind of checks and balances within the rule of law. It's about just abolishing all of that, annihilating all of that, but also right out of the gate, showing everybody we own this, we own that, we own this, we own Southern District now, we own this, we own the mayor, we own we can do, who is going to stop us? No one's going to stop us. All the prosecutor could do was resign, and rightfully so. And then the people underneath her that working on the case resign. It's more, I think, prosecutors resigning and in the face of this corruption than the Saturday Night Massacre.
Yeah.
So it's a big, 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 big deal. It's a big deal. And New York State is now really going to be up against it because the guy controlling the city is owned. It was already owned by Turkey. That was a corruption case. And now he's owned by Pam Bondi and Donald Trump. And I don't know who it was that was sitting with him, but they were literally laughing about this. The guy who wrote the letter, I think, was saying, yeah, and if he doesn't do what we want, publicly, sitting on the stage, even if he doesn't do what he wants, that case is going to reappear. So that's what I mean by rancid. It's also, they're just saying it. They're just saying what it is. And, because who's going to stop them?
Yeah.
Who's going to stop them? Who's going to do anything about this? There's to do anything about this.
The
unleashing the honesty, at least they're being honest about it.
They are. We'll get to that too in the later in the thing. I will say that the Lieutenant Governor of New York, Delgado, who was once in my kitchen when he was a congressman, anyway, tweeted out that basically saying, "Hey, Eric Adams, you really need to step down now." Like yesterday, the day before. My read on that.
Why would he do that?
Because that's a shot across the bow. Because Hochul can remove him. She doesn't want to because it's never been done before and it sets the precedent. And you know how Democrats are.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
No, but I think that was a warning shot. He was basically, that's the part in The Godfather 2 where they're like, go into the bathtub and just take, with honor. But he's not going to do it with honor. So it's going to be interesting to see what Hochul's going to do.
He's not going to resign.
No, he's not going to resign. But then Hochul's going to have to get rid of him because she can. It's in her power to do it. And if she doesn't, that's bad. That's really bad. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. All right, Kit, you wanted to update us all on Ukraine. We want to talk about Ukraine.
Yeah.
Pretty important. So why don't you launch us into that?
Okay, so I just want to, we've been talking about this a lot. This is the 3-year anniversary this month of the invasion somehow. This entire time, Putin thought that it would be over in 3 days. They brought like a change of clothes, but not like more bullets or whatever. And, it's 3 years later. Russia has lost casualties upwards of 450,000 people for no fucking reason at all. And it's been devastating, obviously, for the people of Ukraine, who have relied on weapons and armaments and material from the West, particularly from the United States. So, Biden slow walked it, didn't give as much aid as he should have. If we want to blame people, you can start in 2014 when Putin originally invaded Crimea, and Obama was like, "Oh well, I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun hanging out with ScarJo, so we better not go to war now about this dumb thing. Let's just do some sanctions." And that was the signal to Putin that the West wasn't ever going to do anything, which is correct.
Yeah.
He read the room correctly.
Yeah.
Now, going back further from there, I forget if it was 94, 96, in the Budapest memoranda, Ukraine, which had, after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, had the third most nuclear weapons of anywhere. It was like Russia, US, them, and China, I think in that order. And under the agreement, agreed to surrender these weapons to Russia. And one of the things in the agreement is don't invade us, dickheads. But the Russians don't do that. They don't listen to this. So our friend Victor Rudd has been writing about this for a long time. He wrote this in 2017, where he said, American deal making with Russia does not work. Russia did not become the largest country in the world, steamrolling dozens of nations through bourgeois deal making. Russia has always been an empire. Its imperial DNA precludes the compromise we worship and the precondition to which is restraint. Moscow vehemently rejects the stability we imagine we're creating. Its worldview and goals are dynamic, ongoing, and implacably aggressive. Russia plays offense, America plays defense. Russia initiates, America reacts. Russia disrupts, America seeks to stabilize, to preserve, all the while as we cast about wondering, what do we do now? We never learned Stalin's encyclical, agreements are like pie crusts made to be broken. That's who we're dealing with. So fast forward to now, you have, that's Victor Rudd writing in Kiev Post in 2017. And it's been on this for years and years before that. So fast forward to now, we have Donald Trump and his guys, okay, who are all liars, the art of the deal bullshit. He's sending, as our friend Zarina Zabriskie reported, Jack Posobiec is part of the envoy. He might as well send a fucking Muppet to do it. You might as well Grover and Fozzie the Bear might as well be there for all the seriousness.
Posobiec, I think, has been credibly accused by a few journalists of being a Kremlin asset.
But he's a failed comedian. Is really
did he try doing that?
Yeah. Anyway, the point is that this is not a serious negotiation on our behalf. Trump is basically going to hand over Eastern Ukraine to Russia, and what's going to happen is, Zelensky is not going to have much choice because he needs the arms, he needs the weapons, unless Europe, and it looks like maybe they will, really stands up now and starts giving him a lot more stuff than they have been, and really comes together to defend Ukraine. That's going to happen. They're going to take Eastern Ukraine. They're going to reset for a couple years, and then they're going to fucking invade it again. That's what's going to happen, because that's what Russia does. Yeah. And this thing, it's billed as a ceasefire. The sort of the Ron Paul, like, oh, we just need to have, talk with these people. We want exchange of ideas. We don't need to exchange ideas with these people. He's a criminal and he's a liar, and he goes back on every agreement he's made. We need to treat him like a criminal and not like a head of state. He's not a head of state. He's the head of a crime family. Yeah. You don't sit down with the head of a crime family if you're a fucking sovereign nation, the most sovereign, powerful sovereign nation that ever existed in the world, and kowtow to him. You don't do that. That's not what you do, but it's what we're doing. And the word in the topic is the Ukrainian word for betrayal. And that's what's happening right now. It's a fucking betrayal. It's a betrayal of the United States and the West, of Ukraine, and not just Ukraine, of democracy in general. All we needed to do was arm them and give them the fucking arms. They would have beat Russia and
do the airspace. Like that was
It's not complicated. They don't need troops. They just needed weapons and the okay to go use them. That's it. That's all they were asking for, and we couldn't fucking do it. And
so
now,
do you think NATO's going to come?
I don't know what's going to happen with NATO. I don't think they're going to invade or anything. Maybe they let Ukraine in after this happens. I don't know. But what's going to happen with NATO when Trump starts invading Greenland? I mean, that's
it's gonna be a real test.
Trump doesn't want to be in NATO anyway. NATO is effectively gone. That's another thing. And and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, because people don't, not people watching this show, understand. But people in general don't get that Western Europe, this much of Europe being at peace since 1945, that's 80 fucking years now. There's been no major wars at all in all of Western Europe, Central Europe, most of Eastern Europe, with the exception of the Bosnia thing. And otherwise, peace this entire time. The last time that happened historically was during the reign of Antonius Pius in the 2nd century. It is a historical anomaly that there's been this much peace in Europe.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because of NATO and because the United States was powerful and people knew not to fuck with us. And Trump is ruining all of that. US aid helps do it. Handing over the CIA people helps do it. And handing Eastern Ukraine to Putin absolutely does it. It's a fucking disgrace. That's it. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I mean, it's I'm worried they're going to kill him, Zelensky.
If I'm him, I don't get in the room with them.
Yeah.
I don't go there myself. No fucking way. Unless I'm in Washington or so, Paris or something. I'm not gonna,
Yeah. And who is it? Was Pete Hegseth? Is that what was he was doing the Kremlin talking points?
Oh my God.
Who is he again? Is he our Secretary of Defense?
I think he's the third most popular account on OnlyFans, isn't he?
Oh.
Is he something else?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's DOD, which is a joke. It's just everything is a joke, right?
Yeah, it is. It's embarrassing.
A fucking joke.
It's embarrassing.
And all these MAGA people who voted for Trump, it's just a
there isn't recovering from this. Tulsi Gabbard got, I think, since we were last on, she got confirmed. There's no recovering from that. You can't put a hostile foreign agent as the head of the all of our intelligence.
Probably not a good idea.
Think we're gonna recover from that. There's no.
I mean, the good news is before the real tyranny gets to set in, we're all gonna, because there's no more doctors able to work anywhere. The next plague will kill us all. So at least we have that.
At least we have that. Yeah. At least we have that.
But hey, he's a Kennedy. It's got to be good, right?
Oh, for God's sakes!
Got to be great.
But all of this is. I think I know we have a sponsor that has something for us. It has you and I. We might need a little bit of protection. I think
we're going to look into
this. Been a little vocal.
Yeah, we can get 10% discount on this service.
Can we get a 10% discount?
Yeah. We'll tell you about it later.
All right,
And now a word from our sponsor.
Need amped up security? Worried some other family's going to rub you out? Get incredible death threats? Believe me, I sympathize. Hi, I'm Nunzio Ciccarelli, president of the Bank of the Bada Bing, here to tell you about the latest innovation in personal security, Toddler Armor. Hey, nobody wants to wear some clunky Kevlar vest that makes you look like Big Dom, or have to be escorted by a bunch of huge Goombas every time you leave the house. With Toddler Armor, there ain't none of that. How it works is simple. We issue you your very own toddler, and the kid just follows you around wherever you go. Craps table, strip club, bathhouse, Oval Office, you name it. Just put the little brat on your shoulders. Works like a charm. Whether you're a made man, a healthcare CEO, the president, or a special government employee in charge of a made-up agency named for an old Italian prince, Toddler Armor is the best protection there is. Toddler Armor. Here's looking at you, kid. And now, back to the show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think maybe we're going to need this. I don't know if I want the toddler around so much.
Listen, I'll save it. I think I might be able to make it to after our guest, but I'm not sure how far that is from. I mean, we know you were making a joke and kind of came as a joke, and we were making fun, but he might be a little worried. I think that guy hangs around Trump for Secret Service protection. I do.
Oh my God, the timeline. Why are we living in this timeline?
Maybe
our guest can help us understand it.
I know she can.
She is the executive director of True North Research. She is the judicial branch aficionado and an inveterate hater of John Roberts. Lisa Graves, welcome back.
Lisa Graves. Oh, can't hear you.
Are you muted?
I was gonna say I am. I did. I myself. I was gonna say there's no malice. There's no malice. No malice. Yeah.
No malice. No malice in the palace, as the
Yep.
sign said on. So I have, before we get started into the meat of the discussion, I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, how are you? And the second question is, what the fuck? So, whichever one you want to answer first.
I think the second question answered the first question. That's how I am. Someone posted something like, "We're just going to take it one what the fuck at a time." So, and then I saw someone else post something that I thought was clever, which was RFK stands for "Are you fucking kidding?" Like, really? What?
Yeah.
So to your second question, WTF? It's just all WTF.
I like that.
I know.
like
I had this. I ran into someone I know in the village, and at the little local health food store, and she just sort of looked at me, and I looked at her. She was like, because everybody's in this sort of like and she's like, RFK came up, and he's like, oh, my dad went to school with him, and he was like, oh, I know him, I was like, and she's like, well, he's the least of our problems. I said, at the moment, just wait. He'll become the worst of the problems.
Diphtheria would like a word.
Yeah, exactly.
So one question that I want to get your take on here it is kind of a big picture thing, right? Which it feels like what's happening now is that they're doing all these executive orders, and then they go to the courts, and the courts say, no, you can't do whatever it is. And there's a couple of these things, I think, with the NIH freeze and some other things where, Trump is just basically ignoring the court order. So it seems to me that if I remember my civics correctly, that this is coming now to a constitutional crisis moment. Is that what's happening? Do you see that happening? And how on earth would that get resolved?
Well, it is a constitutional crisis. Like 5 alarm fire, 10 alarm fire, and it's going to get worse because the first part of the constitutional crisis is that John Roberts paved the way for Trump to return to office and effectively pardoned him retroactively and prospectively, basically creating this notion that he could do no wrong and not be held accountable, for any crimes. And from day one, sort of minute one after the swearing in to faithfully execute a constitution that he, by Robert's order, is not actually bound to follow, that he can transgress, he's been transgressing the Constitution and statutes. And so it's just been, hour after hour, day after day of edicts, things that are dressed up as executive orders that are in violation of a thicket of laws, laws about personnel, laws about civil servants, laws about, how people serve on these boards, the terms that they serve, who can serve on a board, Republicans or Democrats, and the mixture of those, laws about contracts and grants and how those things work. And so we entered the constitutional crisis at 12:01 on January 20th, and it has not ceased. It's just expanded exponentially. And like you said, he in essence, like when they got the first order against them, then they pretended to basically withdraw the memo, and then said it wasn't really withdrawn, it was still in effect, and then the court ordered that they tell people that in fact it is non-binding, and then they honored that for maybe less than 24 hours, and then decided that they had some other angle. If this were a corporation where you were firing someone and you said, I'm firing them because they were going to spend $50 million on condoms in Gaza, and that was completely false. And then you doubled down and said, no, it's $100 million on condoms for a war zone. A completely incoherent argument. And then you're like, no, wait, we have this other argument for why we can do this. The court would say, this is pretext. This is unlawful. You can't just make up an array of reasons to do something and then substitute more reasons and other reasons. You have to follow the rules. And so we have a rule breaker, a convicted felon in the White House. I think there should be those bracelets that say, what would Jesus do? WWJD. Mm-hmm. I thought, really the hashtag is what would a sex offender do? What would a sexual abuser do? Since that's the term you have to use with Trump after the settlement with ABC. What would a sexual abuser do? He would appoint someone accused of sexual assault to head the Pentagon. What would a sexual abuser do? He would appoint this person and these incompetent people to do his bidding. What would
you say? What would a criminal do?
Yeah, what would a person with no character do? They would do all the things we're seeing unfolding, and do it in disregard, of the law, of the rules, of the regulations. And then, in contrast, we had this Supreme Court, John Roberts, basically saying Joe Biden couldn't issue student debt relief. Oh no, we can't have this really modest student debt relief that exceeds the president's powers. And now we have a president exceeding his powers basically on an hourly basis with the help of the richest man in the world. The court hasn't yet considered that, the Supreme Court. The lower courts are following the law and, they're sanding the gears. But we are in a constitutional crisis because John Roberts helped pave the way for Donald Trump to return to power and not be held accountable.
Okay, so I want to stay right there. So let's talk this through a little bit, right? So I just want to follow up and go a little deeper. So where we're getting this sort of framing of what a constitutional crisis would be is when he defies not the laws that are on the books, but a judge's ruling.
Both.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then around something constitutional, and he defies it and just says, yeah, we're doing it anyway. You can rule that we can't do this, but we're doing it anyway. And then they do it. Right. What then?
Well, that's right. There are multiple components of a constitutional crisis. One is having a president who doesn't believe any of these rules that have bound all of his predecessors, and budgets that have been passed by Congress and signed by the president don't apply to him, and he can do whatever he wants. Then you have going to court, and him, basically using these right-wing lawyers to make these ridiculous arguments and try to get around the ruling. And then you have a scenario where the court orders him to do something and they refuse. And in fact, as many people saw this weekend or earlier this week, JD Vance was saying just that. We pointed that out over almost a year ago, that JD Vance had said that, let the court try to enforce its orders. That's how defiant he was even before he was named to be vice president.
How are they going to enforce their orders?
That is exactly the question, LB, right? Because the court, first of all, relies on the general
compliance,
court obedience to not be in defiance of a court order for compliance. And presidents typically comply. That's been the norm in our history. And if a president does not comply, then the court can issue sanctions that the person is acting in contempt of court. But the court has to rely on executive branch officers in the U.S. Marshal Service, for example, to enforce a contempt order. Sometimes if you're an ordinary lawyer and you're in court and you said to a judge, I'm not going to follow your order, the judge would bang the gavel, hold you in contempt, and have the court security officer escort you to jail, like then, on the spot. At this moment, there are court security officers who work for the courts, but typically court orders are enforced with the assistance of the executive branch, and we have a defiant executive branch. And then the next part is the super scary part, which is once they ignore a court order on, let's just say X, not because it's a really shitty platform, but let's say they ignore an order on, X, then what order won't they defy? If they decide just to pick people up, throw people in jail, other orders, if they decide to allow their violent followers who were released from jail before they finish their
domestic terrorists.
If they decide not to prosecute them, or they try to prevent the prosecution of them, as or other people who are corrupt, like the mayor of New York, what happens then? We are in no man's land. We're in an unprecedented period in U.S. history where
we have a king. Then we have an oligarchy. So I just, spoiler alert, he's going to defy it. then he's not going to do what any court tells him to do.
Well, let's be fair though. I mean, when Kash Patel gets confirmed as the head of the FBI, I think we're going to be totally fine because he's.
I mean,
can't even go through with the joke.
We're. I mean, this is it's a disaster. And you're right. You're right. What is America then? Is it is it an oligarchy? Is it a monarchy? How do we describe this failed state where there are no checks on executive power? And no matter what little mitigation John Roberts may decide, perhaps, possibly, although I doubt it, to do, he cannot compel the man that he helped enthrone with king-like powers to comply with the law. A man who, by his very nature, does not comply with law.
No, he was born to defy it, and he was installed to destroy us. So
I wonder if we're gonna get to a point where, I mean, there are entities in the United States that can operate independently of the federal executive branch of government. Like, for example, the New York State Troopers are not, they don't report to the executive branch. Not that that's going to help, but it can help in the case of Eric Adams. Eric Adams can be indicted by New York State, arrested by New York State, convicted in New York State. There's not a damn thing legally that Trump could do about it. Now, can he just walk in and free him? Yes, but there still is mechanisms. And that's the thing. What is the mechanism? It's like, Stalin said to the Pope, how many battalions do you have? It's not going to work if we're going to get to this point. And the little things now that people aren't paying attention to, like the NIH funding being frozen or unfrozen, it sounds so dorky and wonky, but that's it. If they don't go there and defend that, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, as we've seen.
Right, because a bully will push you as far as he can until someone stops him. Right. Until someone is able to say,
like Putin.
Well, in the international arena, and so these battles, and the recklessness, just pure destructiveness of Musk and these orders on USAID and the effect on programs where there's scientific testing going on and drug testing and all these things in terms of our health and our public welfare, even setting aside RFK's utterly reckless contempt for proven cures for deadly diseases and diseases that maim and blind children. Yeah. You have this whole other array of work that we, the taxpayers, have invested in for our health, for our future, and all those sort of medical trials that have been disrupted by these just really horrible people, by Elon and his little band of pirates. These are destructive acts that hurt the American people fundamentally, and that no one voted for. And in fact, if you look at the actual, results in November, 78 million people voted for someone other than Trump. 75 million people voted for them. The majority of people didn't vote for this. They voted for someone else other than him. There's no mandate, but he doesn't care because John Roberts helped make him a king, and he's acting like a king.
Okay, so I back onto Elon Musk for a second. I have a question for you. I know I think there's a class action lawsuit coming. How do we sue this motherfucker? Like how is it that he went and took our private data? So he violated us, every single American, and especially those that are, using the programs. If you're a senior citizen, if you're on your Social Security, if you've got Medicaid. So how is it possible? Is that lawsuit happening? And is it possible? And who do we turn to for a massive class action lawsuit against Elon Musk? I want to take all his money away.
Well, I've heard that there are people looking into a class action lawsuit because there are rules about access to PII, personally identifiable information. Those rules apply to everyone, including federal employees. Access to those computer systems, when you access them, you're agreeing to follow those rules. It appears that those rules were violated. The idea that he came in and, supposedly found fraud in like 5 minutes and instead sent in programmers, not investigators. And then, of course, Trump fired all of the inspector generals, the people who actually enforce the laws and try to uncover any fraud or misconduct. So you had someone come in who has a personal financial interest in data about people, getting access to all of our data. I hope he gets sued. I'd be happy to join that class action along with you. I suspect it will come, and we'll see what happens next, because our information security was breached by him, and by his people who do not have the ordinary type of security clearance that typically an employee would have, and they were attacking people, verbally, who were trying to follow the rules, and then they were followed up, and then there was the guy in the interim U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia who then, X'd at Musk that he was, more than happy to prosecute any employee who would stand in their way. But these employees were trying to protect our interests in the security of our data from a billionaire who has massive conflicts of interest, who has his own business plan. And in fact, there's a whole other issue in terms of just the whole Bitcoin and Doge and the effect, the reality of not just our information security, but our monetary security from these guys.
Right.
And crypto.
I want to circle back around with the IGs, with the inspector generals, with what you just said right there. The reason they were all fired first is not because they look into the fraud or corruption or whatever. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, but when I saw them all go first, I'm like, oh, well, there goes the whistleblowers. So what happens is that any federal agency, where you have federal employees, the whistleblowers, the channels for them to say, oh my God, they're doing this illegal thing is happening. The reason why there's an investigation is because people report. And if you chop off the heads of the IGs and you destroy those departments, there's no channel through which to report. So it leaves employees with the only option being go to a private attorney and pay for that, or make it public, in which case they'll then be prosecuted because they'd be violating another process. So that's why those IGs had to go right off the bat, because criminality was going to happen, and they did not want a channel for it to be reported. It wasn't about investigating it. They could have just thrown out the case and everything. They didn't want anybody to know what they were doing. And the people who were there could see what was happening to their systems and to the data and to the information, the employees, but they were powerless to stop it and had nowhere to turn to report it, because the IGs were gone.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I mean, they perform this internal function as well as this external sort of public interest function in terms of the way programs are managed. But it's exactly as you say, and in some ways it's even worse because, for example, for people in the national security agencies, so there's no federal whistleblower protection. The way it works is, as you say, you take a complaint internally to the IG. That's how you preserve your job, as well as trying to right the wrong. But for people who are in the national security arena, they by regulation, by these rules, in essence, aren't even allowed to talk to Congress.
That's correct.
Without first speaking to the inspector general within their agency. That's for the National Security Agency, or the National Reconnaissance Office, the Pentagon, the CIA, et cetera. There are those internal rules that provide an additional requirement of reporting violations internally before they're allowed to even reach out to Congress. I've dealt with whistleblowers numerous times over the years and have always obviously counseled them to get their own attorney before they speak with the press or ask me to talk with connect with a reporter. And I always urge them to have their own counsel. But even independent of having your own counsel, not having that internal mechanism means that we're even at greater risk of this sort of lawlessness, law breaking by people that Trump has put into positions of power without having that mechanism.
And thievery. Yeah. The reason for the lawlessness is because shit's getting stolen. They're thieves. They're thieves.
I think that, if we're it is more efficient to get rid of all the inspector generals and have all that responsibility given to a 22-year-old named Big Balls. I think we can all agree.
19.
Oh, he's 19. I get Big Balls mixed up with the other guy.
Yeah.
The guy that did the election hacking software thing. That guy. I can't believe we're living in this timeline.
Yeah.
Is really how it is. Are there any lawsuits going forward that aren't in the popular news right now that we should be paying attention to that might, like, affect stuff down the line that are important?
Well, there's so many lawsuits going on. There's a lot of terrific, really important litigation going on. And there's also been a tremendous effort by state attorneys general, Democratic elected officials, governors, Democratic attorneys general to stand up to this, to file suit, to protect the interests of the people of those states, to, grants, to programs that help, poor kids get lunch, that help, food banks get access to foods that people need, and more and more and more. And so that's happening. And there are a lot of good groups out there that are in the midst of that litigation. There are a couple of the things that I would flag. One is that in the midst of all of this totally destructive chaos caused by Trump and Bondi and Musk and the gang, you also have a litigation happening in North Carolina where the Republican candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court, who lost fair and square, refuses to concede the election and is seeking help from the Intermediate Appellate Court that's been packed by Republicans to silence the voices of more than 60,000 fellow Americans in North Carolina, North Carolinians, to cancel their vote so he can be installed on the North Carolina Supreme Court. That is just extraordinary lawlessness. It's the type of thing we would have expected had Trump not been declared the winner of the 2024 election. They would have tried to, pull this maneuver in other states, Arizona, other places where they have captured the courts or the state Supreme Court, and they think that they can get away with it. So that's happening. There was also a decision this week in Minnesota where a Trump judge struck down a Minnesota law that limited the ability of foreign companies, foreign interests to influence, state legislation and elections. And so, like, basically allowing more foreign influence. That's happening. Meanwhile, in Maine, there was a tremendous citizen effort. It was transpartisan, bipartisan, Republican, Democrats, independents coming together to deal with one of the problems that is the progeny of Citizens United in terms of these super PACs and this massive amount of money coming into the states. And of course, that new law was attacked in the past couple of weeks by a group that has ties to Leonard Leo, of course. And so you have that billionaire money, working against the interests of the ordinary people of the state of Maine to have clean and fair elections. So those are a couple things that are in the sort of offing, I would say.
So all bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's bad, but it's I think the thing is that we don't know how bad it's going to get. So that's not exactly a heartening thing.
Oh, boy.
But we also don't know what that tipping point is, because already Trump is sliding in the polls, certainly among the youth and other voters. He's unpopular, and he's only partially broken the economy. We have yet to see the full impact of even these first 3 weeks, like the impact on the building industry of the steel trade war. We have yet to see the full impact of his recklessness on other trade policies in terms of the price of goods. And we have yet to see what happens when these crypto guys start, further dismantling all the regulatory agencies that were trying to protect people from an industry that has been rife with fraud and self-dealing. And you have people surrounding Trump from the Project 2025 operation who have talked about how they want to devalue the dollar. So
right. Yeah. This is a long time. This is a long libertarian techno oligarch
Kremlin-y
wet dream is to get rid of the dollar and have it be crypto.
And so there's a period coming. And we can already see that horizon of people saying, where we began, what the fuck? Like, first of all, either they actually didn't vote for this, or they voted for him and they didn't believe he would do this. But he is on a wrecking ball plan for our economy, and people are beginning to see this wreckage. And it's going to get worse, in essence, before it gets better. If we have any hope of it getting better, it's that people will in some ways be shocked out of their shock for some of us, or shocked out of their delusion to see the wreckage that he's done. And then the question is, can we ever fix it? Some things can't be fixed. They're just irreparably broken, like core elements of our national security infrastructure that protect us, weapons that keep us safe that are now visible to people who seem to have other countries' interests at heart and not our own.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of wreckage, but some things may be able to be repaired. Some things we may be able to turn the corner. I'm not just going to say it's darkest before the dawn, because that's just too fucking easy. But the reality is that sometimes when things are bad, it becomes much more visible to people that this is not the path that anyone wants to be on who's sane.
Yeah, there's a critical mass kind of thing going on where I agree that we have to get to that point, and hopefully if people clue in before it gets bad, so bad that all hope is lost. I mean, the other like positive thing, if we're looking for a positive spin, is that the architecture of this country is fucked because of the Senate and other structural things that can only be fixed in times of severe crisis, which we're heading into. So maybe we will be able to fix this and use the opportunity to fix all this shit. And when we have the 2 extra senators from Canada, I'm sure there will be Democrats. It'll be good.
Governor Trudeau.
Yeah, I mean, that was
it's a joke. It's a joke.
But it is so insulting. But like one of these just sheer, like just the stupidity of some of the, I'm going to say this in my personal capacity, the stupidity of a certain representative from Georgia, who shockingly is not Marjorie Taylor Greene, who introduced a bill that was called the Red, White, and Blue Land Act.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I mean, just the sheer dumbassery of that. It's mind-boggling that anyone would ever propose a piece of legislation like that. And it's just it's obscene. Like what we're, in some ways, like I think what we're seeing is just, it's obscene. This is just obscenity after obscenity by these people.
It's pornography.
Yeah.
That's obscene.
Political pornography.
Obscenity after, I'm writing that down because we'll put that in the show notes. Because I think that's a perfect way of expressing what's happening. Okay, so you can stick around, right? Because we got to go to the next topic. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go to the next topic. I'm still here.
You're still here. Okay,
I'm
good.
Still there. I still have a voice.
We weren't sure. We're worried about you.
Okay.
Hit the timer.
Timer's on.
It's time to talk about Elon Musk and Blot droid name kid, whatever it is, hashtag whatever, 1 to 12, K212. What's his name? Little X. There he is as soon as they filed the name on the birth certificate with that fucking name on it, CPS should have been at that house, like within 5 minutes. You don't give a child a ridiculous name like that.
Yeah,
that's fucking
license
ridiculous.
Plate.
It's a VIN number is what it's not. It's Rudy Giuliani's password to get into his like secret account to communicate.
His password is like 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's so I mean we saw like Lawrence O'Donnell did a piece about this where it's just, this is the profound humiliation of the president of the United States sitting like he was in some sort of nursery school class with a 4-year-old, picking his nose literally for 2 full minutes on the camera, which we had an extract of, and I did not want to. I felt, this is the thing that really fucking bothers me about that little kid, is that I feel bad talking about a little kid, and we're all nice. We're all nice.
He's a shit. He came out of an asshole. That's it.
We're done. Yes, but you know what I mean. Like
I don't care.
But they rely on our kindness. They're exploiting our kindness. And come on.
I'm not kind.
That kid is what? He's 10 years younger than the women they want to have sex with, is the truth. So let's put it all in goddamn perspective. And I'm not the one that brought him there. I'm not the parent of the child that put him in front of a camera in the fucking Oval Office and then didn't pay attention while he picked his nose, wiped it on the desk, and told Trump to get out. Anyway, Lisa, you go first. You saw this. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, I think that there's just fortunate. I guess the fortunate thing is that his father is so rich that there's going to be endless money for therapy in the aftermath of this being used this way by this irresponsible person. But I will say at one point, the child said, "Shut up," to Trump. And I did think that was warranted, because I mean, like a couple things happened. So on inauguration day,
you should shut your fucking mouth.
right? Well,
That's what that 4-year-old said.
On inauguration day, when like there was the second thing at the stadium where Musk did the Nazi salute that wasn't
Twice.
Nazi salute, that was obviously the Nazi salute. Like I was like, is this thing still going on? Is he still talking? And then just like a week ago, although it seems like longer, with the prayer breakfast, it was like I went to, like, he started and I thought, okay, I'll come back and check what's happening later. And it was like he was still talking. It's like Trump thinks he's being paid by the word. Like he cannot shut up. It's just a stream of just nonsense and lies and misinformation and grievance and bullshit. And like, and I
You're talking about Musk now, right?
No, I'm talking about Trump.
Oh, you're talking about Trump. Okay.
But then when the kid said, "Shut up," I was like, on that we agree. On that we agree.
Yeah.
But the other part, and then I will stop. Like, I'm a Star Trek person, but
Lisa Grace.
I have watched the Star Wars series, and it was like one of those Trump at the desk with the guy glowering over him. Like, who was in charge? It was Musk. Musk's in charge. Musk bought him that office. Spent $300 million at least. Directly on trying to get him in office, and then admitted that he bought Twitter for that purpose. So spent more than billions of dollars basically to try to get Trump in that office, and he's in effect in charge. And Trump,
we don't even know what the criminal cases were that Tucker Carlson even said to him, "Oh, you're going to go to jail if she wins," meaning Kamala. Like, oh, and he's like, "Oh," and they're laughing uncomfortably. And clearly all that's gone. Like, what were the cases against us? This guy was facing real trouble too. And that's all just, everyone's forgotten about that.
I'm going to go with espionage because he knows secrets and he's on the phone with Putin like twice a week.
Could
I'm
be.
just gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in like a book club. They're not talking about Pushkin. They're talking about bad shit is what it is. Hey, how can we use Starlink to fuck with the Ukrainians? That's it.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Something.
Well, and then there was that weird statement that Trump made about how Elon Musk helped him win because he knew all the computers in Pennsylvania. That's disturbing.
Yeah.
So who knows? And then obviously the fake lottery nonsense, the $1 million show up to the rally thing. I mean, there's
I forgot about it.
There's just an array of things.
Crimes.
Yeah, that could have been actionable before now.
Could have, would have. We certainly were, raising the alarms and shouting from our mountaintops and saying, "You got to stop this guy. You got to do something about this." And I don't know.
Okay, so if you just came in from space, and you didn't know what was happening, and you saw the picture, or you woke up from a coma for 10 years, or whatever, not knowing that Trump was, you just see these guys, and Musk is there, and you see him with the hat and the black thing, jacket that he's wearing, looking kind of like what does he look like? Does he look like? I'm trying to figure it out. Is it like maybe the bass player for a Metallica cover band? Like, I can't quite figure out what he looks like.
He looks like Ivankov. He looks
he does look like
a major gangster, Russian gangster. He's starting to. He's changing. I mean, he's done a lot of gender affirming surgery.
Surgery, right?
It's a little bit difficult to tell what he might have ended up looking like, but
I'm going to go with bad.
It looks like the guy standing behind him is in charge. Like that's what it looks like.
He looks like a king.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like a king because he looks like he's there to rob the bank. Like he's not dressed like a king.
Kings are all about. I mean,
I know, but I saw Hamilton. The king doesn't come in dressed like that. He looks like a playing card.
It does if you're cooked up in Silicon Valley by a bunch of fucking Kremlin money from Alisher Usmanov. That's what you look like.
I suppose so. And I don't know. I think O'Donnell's right. I don't think there's ever been this level of profound humiliation by a U.S. president.
Oh yeah.
Even Helsinki, it looked like fucking the fear itself speech compared to this. It's just pathetic.
It is.
It's just just pathetic. It's just owned.
He's just owned.
Yeah.
Just really owned.
Yeah.
Oh God. And he's terrified of Elon. Terrified of him. So that's what that means. Just shit in his pants. Not that he's not doing that all the time anyway, but really, truly can't, if we see that kid around Donald again, coming back to the kid, then we know, this is how bad it is. That kid walked up to him, told him to shut his fucking mouth, and then told him he's not the president. He should he should go away. Get out of the chair, right? He said that. We heard it. Cameras captured it. It got hurt. There's no way Donald Trump didn't hear that kid talking to him like that. He was like not even looking at him. He was like, I'm going to pretend this kid isn't here because he's telling me to fuck off. If that 4-year-old shows up again,
it'll be a sign that there's a breach in the matrix, like a black cat showing up again.
Oh my God.
Wrong with the matrix.
I mean, I almost get Donald being like, I don't know what to do with this. This thing is going. The people are here. The guy, my overlord is fucking ketamining his mouth all over the place. And this kid's putting his boogers everywhere. Like, like I can understand, but like, what am I supposed to do? Like, and he doesn't have like a grandfatherly paternal bone in his body. It's not like he's going to, pick the kid up and nurture him or guide him in some way. He's just like going, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop.
They're on the same maturity level anyway.
Yeah.
I think the kid might be more mature. I think if I had to pick one of the 3 people in the room to run the country, I would pick the kid.
Yeah. And I think the kid's probably a lot like Barron. Barron went up to Joe Biden and said something very similar at the inauguration. So, just shameless, these shameless princelings, these
couldn't hear it though. He was out of the frame. Like the guy on the Naked Gun, it's too tall,
He bent over,
yeah.
It was a
cameras couldn't capture it.
So
but the other part of it, to your mob point from earlier is it's like the shakedown, because now you have members of the Senate who reportedly are being told that if they don't back this unfit person for this role, that Trump has $1 million or Musk has $1 million to run against them, to primary them, to get them out of office, or $1 million to help them for their PAC, later down the road. So it's all now it's the corruption is just so between the Eric Adams thing and these other, threats and promises to these members. But on the other hand, like, why would you even want to be a senator in that party if basically you can't do anything? Nothing.
Because they're going to end up oligarchs at some point, and they're going to walk away with our treasure. Whether it's, if you're from Kentucky, you get the coal industry. It just will be crap like that.
I mean, look at Devin Nunes. Devin Nunes was the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, and he just left. Yeah. And then he went and ran the Trump media thing and had a lot of stock in that company and made bank on that.
Yeah,
so
that's the template. It's that buying everyone out basically for that future.
It's all about money. All of it, even Elon Musk stuff, it's all about money.
Yeah.
It's all about money.
Which is why the way out of this is to seize all of their money. That's really what needs to happen. Take all their fucking money and kick them out of the country. That's it. Go hang out in El Salvador. I'm sure the weather's nice. You'll love it there. Mm-hmm.
Let's get to announcements, guys. Because we actually have some stuff to announce this week.
We do.
Yeah, Lisa, do you want to start? Do you have anything that you want to let everybody know? Stuff coming up, things going on?
Well, so my book, which is not yet published, but it has an Amazon page for Without Precedent, for Lisa Graves, Without Precedent. So it's, I think, about ready to be available for pre-order. And it's about John Roberts and the Supreme Court and how they have, wrecked our rights and our Constitution. And so I'm so excited about that. That was a labor of love to write that thing. And I know you know this, Greg, from your brilliant book last year, which I loved reading. I'm super excited about it. So that's new. It's new that there is an Amazon.com page for ordering the book. There'll be other ways to order it, not through Amazon, not through Jeff Bezos, but like for right now, that is the way.
Okay, it's coming.
Yeah.
Just so we know, it's coming.
Yeah.
Well done. Good work. We
Yeah,
cannot
congratulations.
wait to
I
read
feel
it.
like, because
Congratulations.
I don't know, you at one point you were like, I think I'm going to write this book, and now it's done. It's
Well,
like,
I wrote it on the weekends for about
Yeah.
16 weekends. When it, it was like a ridiculously maybe ambitious plan to do it like on that time frame. I can't believe I did it, and then I realized how much time I've been wasting. That I apparently could have been writing books on the weekends over the course of 4 months. And instead of, avoiding reality by watching Netflix or, Handmaid's Tale or some horror like that. But
listen, I've been back in Downton Abbey land, because it's like, I need to go very far away from what's happening.
Yeah.
I just need to disappear into this other world. So I
stakes are
feel you.
low. Stakes are low.
But I'm really excited. And my publisher at Bold Type Books is super wonderful. So that's like a bright spot in my.
When is the pub date? Do you know?
In August, they'll send it out for the reviews, and then its official publication is slated for September for the 20th anniversary of John Roberts' confirmation to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wow, fantastic.
You'll come back before then too, but
yes,
obviously
yes,
you'll
please.
come back when the book comes out. You have to come back and we'll talk all about the book, because I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. That's
all right. That was a great announcement.
Yeah, we don't usually get those.
We don't. Okay, so here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
So Greg and I are going to be doing a live event. It might be like a mini 5-8. We're doing it up in where I live in upstate New York, in the High Peaks, North Country, in Saranac Lake. And it's coming up kind of quick, so we were thinking it might happen. I got the date wrong, and but it's going to be March 2nd, which is a Sunday. And so if anybody wants to come up and come to our live event, we'd love to have you. This is like, Olympic Village, Lake Placid, Saranac Lake, or sort of one little big area. And so there's lots of hotels, and there's great deals, and it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There should still be snow. We've had an epic winter, so there's lots of skiing and skating and every kind of activity you can think about. So we'd love to see you, but if you can't come in person, and we'll put up the details of all of where it's going to be. It's with a group called Adirondack Voters for Change and the New York head of Indivisible. So it's like a little gathering of folks for Adirondack Voters for Change for their 20th anniversary celebration. Just kind of everybody got their legs knocked out from underneath them, obviously with this last election and what's happening now. So it's a way that the community is coming together, trying to find their feet again. And just as a reminder, this is Elise Stefanik's district, because she has a vast area, because we have this big, wide, huge park, the Adirondacks, that's in her, it's Plattsburgh that ends up pulling everybody down, but it's a Stefanik land. But the seat is up for grabs if she does. And now I think Congress is freaking out about it, and maybe she won't end up going to the UN, doing the Nikki Haley thing. I don't know, because it is a vulnerable seat. So there's a lot happening up here that could have a big impact, and we'd love to see people. But we're also we'll broadcast it. So that'll be a Sunday show that's coming up on the 2nd of March.
Super exciting.
It'll be fun. It'll be good.
It'll be fun.
People are going to come see it. I have announcements also. We have like
Okay, there's another one.
First of all, my book, I think last week I said, I'm going to have this book coming out of a collection of some of the essays that I've written, the Sunday Pages thing, which did in fact come out last week. And a lot of people have bought it. And I'm very grateful to people who bought it. And it is called The Age of Unreality. And it is available on the Amazon, which we hate. And you could also order it through your local bookstore. And there's other links that you can go to find it, not on Amazon if you prefer that route. But it's not about Trump, which is nice. It is, but it isn't. So it's it's sort of refreshing in that way. And then
wait, but it's so great, Greg. I read those Sunday reports and they're so illuminating.
Wonderful.
Such great writing, so entertaining and educational and fantastic. I'm so excited about your book. I wrote it down. I'm going to go buy it
thank you.
This.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. It was fun. I did it more for fun than anything, but like it just to get my mind off the, but I'm very grateful. So thank you. And thanks everybody who, supported it. My other announcement is that I can't announce this in full yet, but not this Monday, not President's Day, but the Monday after, the 24th, I will be at an event in New York City on the Upper East Side. I don't think I can say yet what it is. It involves Ukraine and it involves a book coming out. And I will be there. It is the event open to the public. I will tell you what it is as soon as I am able. And if you're in New York City next Monday, 6 o'clock, come say hi.
Not next one, not this coming Monday.
Not the 17th, the 24th, February 24th.
Yeah. And then I think the 21st, unless the weather prevents it, which is a Friday night, we're going to be together. Hopefully you and I will be together.
We'll be together.
Yeah.
Doing the show.
And do a show together. So that'll be fun. All right. So that's it.
I'm going to say, though, I want to invite you to come on our YouTube channel on Legal AF.
Yeah.
And maybe if you have time next week or the following week, you can both come on, or either you can come on and we can talk about what's what.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd love to.
We're in. Yeah. We'd love it.
Yeah.
We'd love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. So let's move on. Do you guys mind if we just do 5 minutes for this last thing?
We don't need more than 5 minutes.
I don't think we need more than 5 minutes. And
okay.
I am, I'm fading fast here, but it's good.
Okay. So I did like foreign languages. That last segment was called Die Koning moet wegenen, which is Afrikaans for the king must go away. That's what it means in Afrikaans. This one is Stultex non artifex, which is Latin for a fool is never an artist. That's it. So it's embarrassing how long I spent with Google Translate. Yeah.
Cheers to you. Okay, so we wanted to talk about the Kennedy Center thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Hey, you have to buy the votes apparently to make yourself the chair of the board. That's apparently a thing now.
Yeah. Here's the thing. And
you could say it.
Look, these people, all of them, almost to a man and woman, they want to be artistic so bad. They think they're so creative and so wonderful. And why aren't they successful actors or comics or models or writers or filmmakers or whatever it is that they want to do? I'm such a genius. Why? Because they suck and they're not artistic. It's really that simple. LB, you've said this for years. Artlessness is the primary way to, nail who these people are. It's their primary characteristic, one they all share. Artlessness. I think Kid Rock hooked up with Lauren Boebert, by the way. I read that.
I read about that.
Yeah. Pretty exciting. Speaking of artlessness and horror.
I got to go back to Downton Abbey. No. I have avoided all of this.
So Trump kicking out all the Kennedy Center people. He's doing this. He's coming into the theater. Doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. You can have the Kennedy Center. You can have the fucking Met. You can have whatever you want. Nothing. No amount of Elon Musk money, no amount of Leonard Leo money, no amount of any goddamn thing will make any of these people artists ever. That's it. The most impoverished poet living in some garret somewhere will always have more talent than Donald Trump or Jack Posobiec or Candace Owens or Tim Pool or any of these fucking losers.
Yeah, I mean,
it failed.
Yeah, it cheapens the Kennedy Center honors to be whoever Trump is anointing, just like he cheapened the Presidential Medal of Honor by giving it to people like Rush Limbaugh and others. Like it just diminishes what that honor is because he's dictating it and will dictate it not by talent, but by loyalty or some instances crassness, Yeah.
All anybody has to do is go rewatch the first 5 years of American Idol auditions of the people who come in and are convinced that they are the next Celine Dion or Tony Bennett or whoever, right? And open their mouths, and out comes just horrendous, embarrassing noise. And they have no idea. To them, they think that they are. That's what all these fuckers are. And if they were, and because they were told no, you don't got it. You're not getting the part. You're not getting the girl. You're not getting the guy. You're not getting the job. You're not getting the record deal. None of that's happening for you. And don't even try to take voice lessons. You don't have what it takes to be in your fantasy. That grievance is why they are who they are now today.
Yeah. I mean, I do think just my point of view is, if you want to be a writer, write, right? If you want to dance, dance. If you want to sing and you don't sing well, sing. Sing to your heart's content. But the delusion that you have an entitlement to a certain level of fame or a certain that is that delusion. And that some of the people that have been these aggrieved actors who've embraced Trump, that their careers have, sputtered due to their talent or lack of talent or overacting or whatever, but they have gravitated to Trump, and now they're about to be rewarded. At least that's what it certainly looks like, with this honor that is going to mean, very much
nothing though. It means
nothing. I'm telling you right now, it means nothing. Like you said, Lisa, and LB, you put it this way beautifully. He desecrates what is sacred and holy. That's what he does.
He desecrates all that is holy.
Okay, fine. Yeah. We chop off the limb and we move on because it ain't happening.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, real artistic people, real creative people think that they're good and also know that they're not. It's like this weird, horrible balance of insecurity and confidence that's very bizarro.
Or they know that they don't know everything. Like they just don't, like that there's more to learn,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that's how it is. And on the topic of art, and before we do that, Lisa, again, your book is called Without Precedent, and it is exciting when the Amazon page comes up. When it's with a publisher that isn't your own thing, and you're like, oh, there it is. The cover's not even there yet.
But the cover's coming.
Yeah, it's not there. It's just a little. So it's very exciting, and we're all going to go buy it as soon as it's available. You'll tell us.
Can't wait.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Can't wait. Well
because,
done.
It's one of those things that's going to. What's it going to do, LB?
Well, it's going to help us get through it all.
Yes.